What's going on, everybody? Cheers. Happy Wednesday, or whatever day of the week it is when you're watching or listening to this. Welcome to this week's episode of the With Her Two Hands podcast, where each week we celebrate the women who build, fix, and make the things that make the world go round with her own two hands. And tonight I am very excited to be joined by a very talented young woman. She's a welder, she is a fabricator, she's done all sorts of stuff from architecture to cars to art. And I'm pretty sure lots of other stuff along the way. She has even just now started her own business. And I think that we're going to have a great conversation tonight. So I'm very excited to meet her. Before we jump in and I bring her on, a quick thank you to our sponsor for tonight's episode. If you're not familiar with them, you're definitely going to go check them out. Drive Time has been one of our partners on this series since the very beginning, really. I think there was about a year in the beginning where they weren't our partner, but ever since, they have been huge supporters of this program, as well as everything that we do over at Girl Gang Garage. They're our current sponsor on our charity all-female build. If you're not familiar with that, go check out Girl Gang Garage and check out the links in the description down below to find out more about that. But Drive Time does a ton of work to really actively seek out and raise up more diversity within the automotive industry. And I love a company that puts their money where their mouth is. They don't just talk the talk, they actually walk it. So if you're looking for a new car, or more importantly, if you're looking for a new place to establish your career, maybe learn some new skills, Drive Time is a great organization for that. They do a ton of training in-house, and they do a lot of work behind the scenes to make sure that we start seeing the number of women in the trades increase. So go check them out. And of course, I have to thank each and every one of you for being along on this journey, this revolution, this movement to normalize seeing more women in the trades. That's what this is all about. One day we hope that this series is not necessary, that we're all just tradesfolk, and it doesn't matter whether we're men or we're women. We're all just people who love building and making and fixing things. But for right now, we make up less than 10% across the trades, and in some industries as low as 2%. So for right now, this series is necessary, in my opinion, to make sure that these women get their praises sung, get a light shown on them, and are celebrated as they deserve to be, because it is hard out there, y'all, going it alone. And often we are an only on the job site. So I thank you all for being a part of this journey. And without further ado, let's all give a warm welcome to tonight's guest, Miss Nikita Adickes. Hello.
Hello. How's it going?
Fantastic. How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm so excited to be here. I feel like I'm meeting a celebrity right now.
Oh, whatever. We're all celebrities, right? Like, we are all doing the damn thing every day,
Yes.
as an only in our fields. And it is equally hard for all of us. So you are a rock star. I've been following you for some time as well. And you're a baby. You're a youngin', and you've done so much. Do you mind me asking how old you are?
I'm just turned 26.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so I'm just a little baby. I guess, yeah, definitely. So I've been in the trades for about 8 years. So
Oh my gosh, okay.
I started like right at the end of high school, and just really, got my hands dirty and just been working super hard for the last 8 years. But 26, and yeah, I have a lot of thanks, to C-Tech, the company, but it was a lot of hard work.
That's awesome. Okay, so in a nutshell, explain to everybody what you do currently. And then we're going to dig into your past. We're going to dig into the journey to get here, and then we'll talk about your business a little bit later as well. So what are you doing currently for work?
So currently, like you mentioned, I just started my own little small business or freelance fabrication. And so that's going to be more oriented around sculptures and creative work and creative fabrication. I do welding, composites, and just everything that falls underneath like those niches, and a lot of creative stuff. So I'm really trying to focus on doing the freelance creative work. And then, that leads into architectural, automotive, and then art as well, of course, and then architectural. But what led me there was Creative Technologies, which is a family company that my father started 30 years ago. And so I started working for that company right after in high school actually, and then right off the bat, right when I graduated high school, I started working there full time. And so that really, just got me into the trades, and I really loved it. I was very creative and artistic in high school and my whole childhood, and always just doing spontaneous things or something fun or crazy. So it really just went hand in hand, and I just really fell in love with the trades, and so I realized it was something I really wanted to push myself in and just really dive into. And it was kind of the whole, well, if they can do it, you can do it too. And my father, I had to thank him just for never, doing that double standard of a female or a daughter or anything like that. He was just like, here's a cutoff saw, cut this piece of metal. So it was never, oh, she's too, like, oh, careful. You know what I mean? Like that standard kind of coddling or gentle kind of touch that you get. So I, have to him to thank for that. He just threw me right into the shop, and just like I handled the shop and the tools just as anyone else. And so it's been a lot of fun. So with that, I have to thank him for showing me the shop, and him starting this company. So that company started on architectural fabrication, engineering, and installations, which has been, pretty incredible one-of-a-kind art sculptures that are pretty large scale, or some sort of architectural building with some sort of art design or art composition to it. So this year, I installed a 100-foot structure that I fabricated all last year. So that was in Florida, Perez Art Museum. And so I've been working for C-Tech for the last 8 years, and I've been, really pushing myself super hard. And I've just decided that, it's time. I want to do my own stuff, and I need to, grow independently as a female. And so, just kind of the same, like I mentioned, if they can do it, I can do it. So, my father started his own company, and same with all of my relatives that come from a very, very thick bloodline of artists. Like everyone is some sort of fabricator, tradesman, artist, in every shape or form. So all of the relatives past, they've all done it. So it's time for me to, step away from the nest and do my own thing. So the Nikita Fabrication, I decided to really push. And I just started, I've always done little projects, like bespoke projects for friends or, references, but I'm really going to start, pushing the bigger creative projects and just pushing my skills that I've worked the last 8 years to do. Yeah. So C-Tech was really amazing, awesome. I'm still working for them, of course. I still am offering my seasonal services. If we get another large architectural project, I'll go ahead and get my hands dirty. But I'm really trying to focus on, obviously expanding myself independently. And then as well as I just started another little small business for additive manufacturing and just kind of all things 3D with my boyfriend. So that's kind of been keeping me busy as well.
So yeah, and all of your spare time. Let's just start a second business as well. Why not?
Yeah. Him and I, he's the fabricator, so we just have so many talents. We're just both, we're just such team players. And so it was really both, something that he had the talent. He has incredible 3D talents, and I kind of have, that motivation for business and fabrication and design. And so kind of just put those two talents together, and, we live together already. So it's like, it's easy to run a business when you live with someone. So it's been great. So we started that, and then Nikita Fabrication is, of course, more creative, artistic, myself, freelance fabrication.
Okay. Awesome.
And then to pay the bills, like other small stuff. I do O2. Speaking of, I do the social media manager for O2 Armor. So they are amazing. They're like my PPE in the shop every day. So I do a lot of little things.
To have the energy of a 26-year-old again. My goodness.
I know. I know. I'm busy. You can ask my boyfriend. I get grumpy from being tired, but
okay.
I'll try your best.
So you've got a ton on your plate. You're doing a ton of different things. I want to dig back into this. So like peel back some of the layers of your story, because you gave it to me in a nutshell. Now let's dissect it a little bit. First of all, incredible story. I've seen some of your work. Anybody who's not familiar with Nikita, go check her out. I've got the links down below, and you can see the sculptures and these large scale, massive projects that she's working on. But so Dad started this company, you said?
Correct.
Okay. Yeah. So, and he was okay. So. Did you like always know that you were going to take over, or not take over, but join this business, I should say? Like when you were young, did you always know that you were going to be part of it, or did that kind of come later? Tell me how that worked.
It definitely came later. It definitely kind of came something that my father and I could actually spend time over, because, it's a lot running your own business, and this business in particular. So he was very much so in the shop growing up, like all the time. So once I was actually old enough and then I joined the shop, it was actually, probably the most fun time we ever spent together. So it was kind of a nice way, but it was not, I didn't expect to do it. I didn't even think he thought of me in that like way, like someone who he'd want to work for him. And then he had a project come along and he was, my sister was working for him at the time and like this and that. And, I wasn't very close with them at the time. And they were like, "Oh, we need an extra hand. Do you want to help with this Frank Gehry project?" And then I was like, "What? Like Eric, Dad wants me in the shop? Like what?" I was like, "Yeah, I'll give it a shot. Like let's do it." Like I mentioned, I've always was really artistic and creative, and we built small things and small projects in the shop as kids. Of course, he kind of like kind of made sure we had some sort of like wrench in our hand in high school, all the kids. But anyways, sorry, I get so sidetracked.
That's okay.
He was like, "I need an extra hand. Come on in with my sister." So my sister and I built this project together, and yeah, it just kind of snowballed into there. And I was just like, "Oh, I love doing this. I love the trades." And
Amazing.
this is
So
why.
your sister is also in the trades, or
Yeah, she
okay,
was for I think a solid like 3 or 4 years, and then
okay.
right now she is taking a break from the shop. But she was someone who certainly inspired me. She was just like such a great fabricator, great welder. She was very passionate and like super precise. Like I always looked up to her in the shop. But she was in that. She's my older sister, so she was in the shop before me. We missed each other like by a little window, so we only got to work together for a short time. But it was great, and she was a big inspiration in the shop. But yeah, like I
That's
mentioned,
amazing.
like the whole bloodline comes from artists, fabricators, inventors. So
Yeah.
it was very inspirational growing up knowing that and kind of growing up around that. So like I mentioned, right now it's the kind of the same inspiration. Kind of just I need to do something of my own and create a name of my own and start building
Of
things on
course.
my
Yeah.
own. Yeah.
So, okay, so it wasn't until later that you decided that you wanted to go and work with Dad, but
Yeah.
and in his company, but had you already decided that you wanted to work in the trades the
No,
way that you had? Okay.
no, I was an artist. Like I really loved doing artistry, but I
What
loved
was your medium?
just painting and drawing. and
Okay.
then and then my first thing that got me into the trades was restoring my car. That was something that happened at the same exact time. It was like I was just got my car and then just started that project. So it was kind of like I got my car from the junkyard and then I had to tear it apart and restore it. And so I fell in love with that process. So that process got me into the trades.
What
And then
I
having the
have to ask you, what prompted you to get your car from a junkyard? Because I think that's fabulous. I think that's
yeah,
such a great way to learn, but like most people
I
aren't
would
like, hey, guess
It's
what?
yeah, it's a frugal father, and then the learning experience he wanted me to have off of it because he's all like, I'm not gonna pay for like, so all of the kids got junkyard cars, and
Okay.
we had to get straight A's to even get junkyard cars. So it was like some of these kids need to chill out. No,
Okay, wait a second. You got to say that. So you had to get straight A's to get a car, but it was a junkyard car.
and you had to rebuild it yourself.
I love it. So what was this first car of yours?
It was a Subaru BRZ.
Okay.
Yeah,
All
super
right.
fun,
Very
super
cool.
great car. Yeah, yeah. I'm jealous because I wish I could ask you questions on this podcast because
I mean, you're allowed. You can. I've had people turn the table before.
I know I'm already turning it like right off the bat. I wanted to ask what you started doing the trades and just empowering. Like you have 4 garage shops just dedicated, like not 4,
Uh
but I'm exaggerating. It
Volkswagen
feels
Bug.
like it's 4.
Volkswagen Bugs was what got me started. So it
Okay.
was similar to you, kind of first car project. It was a piece of junk and had to rebuild it, not because my dad made me, but because my dad is not a mechanic and he knows nothing about cars.
Okay. Oh,
Or
cool.
very little. I should give him more credit than that. He knows very little about cars.
That's even cool. Your first generation like mechanic. That's even cooler. That's
Yeah, my
awesome.
parents have no idea where I came from. But so yeah, Volkswagen Bugs, they're all to blame.
That's great. That is great.
But
Yeah, first cars are always something to get that always starts the passion.
they are. I mean, that's why I'm such a huge advocate of not giving kids like a fancy car for their first vehicle. Um,
It's unnecessary.
yeah,
Yeah, stick him with a junkyard car, make him rebuild it. Okay.
exactly. All right. I like it. So BRZ, that's interesting. All right. So you get this salvage car, you start rebuilding it. Did you consider going into mechanics at all? Or what brought you? Was it just the fact that this opportunity with dad came up that brought you back to welding? Had you started dabbling in welding beforehand? Talk to me about how this happened.
Yeah. So with the with everything that going on in the shop, Eric just kind of decided to, just lean on teaching me everything to just kind of be that floater, like a shop floater, just kind of being able to do anything. So I was really passionate, and I didn't want, to just like fall behind in the shop or have any kind of other person have to be able to come in or do my job or anything of this that. So if he ever needed anything or if we were ever doing anything, I always was like prepared and just like learned it on the dot or like that night or that day or something like that. If there were anything I wasn't prepared with, but it was just a lot of I can never say this right. Due diligence. It's always a tongue twister for me. I just had to do a lot of due diligence and do my research at home. And so welding, for example, like came into the shop, they needed something welded, like a table welded, just the shop or something, or a little project needs something unimportant welded. So it started with really small shop props, fixtures, this and that. We did, carbon molds. So we did production molds. So we put metal framing on all of the molds before we pulled them. And so we did all of the welding for that. So it was very like non-structural, non-important stuff that I got my hands dirty with. And then it took me forever because I was self-taught at welding, like to really feel good at it. I didn't really like look up anything just before. And then I just went into it because he needed it one day. So I felt like it took me forever to get good at it because I was self-taught. But once I started doing all the research and like, this and that, I was like, oh, okay, got, okay, great. Like this, okay, this position, that, and then it all just came into repetition and practicing and like just having to be good because that's what the job needed. So that's kind of how that came into place, welding. And then fabrication, I would say the basis was fabrication. He just threw me into projects and it was very much like grunt work, like cutting, production, like, bars, this or that, cleaning this, scotch brighting, grinding, polishing the projects, being, like the resin or the composite grunt worker. So it was all grunt work and it was just me being a sponge and just taking everything in. So CTEC, one really cool thing about CTEC is they do like all of the materials. So they do composites, metals, special metals, glass even, and just all of the materials under the realm of art and like artistical sculptures. So so one day or one project would be, resin, and the next project would be grinding aluminum, So I kind of got a really good orientation to fabrication, doing a lot of grunt work I would say the first 2 years was grunt work of just fabrication, grunt work, and just not fun stuff and just learning, just having to be told like what to do, this and that. And then I really, you start absorbing everything, you start applying everything, you can start seeing what's coming next, you can take over, take initiative. And so all those things, I just, kept on stepping forward and, kind of just picking up my pace in the shop. And he was able to just lean on me for everything. And I wanted to be leaned on for everything, you know what I mean? So I was really interested and I knew what I was doing and I picked it up and I did it well. So it was, that's just how everything just kept on growing, just my knowledge just over and over again, because I tried and I applied myself. I didn't just sit there and be told what to do over and over again. I actually picked it up and was like, okay, now this needs to be done next. So kind of just pushing myself and just applying myself is how I got to where I am now. And so I didn't have to learn all these trades for the shop. He didn't say anything. It was just, I wanted to, and I didn't want, when we had big projects, he would subcontract fabricators and laborers and this and that, to get the projects done. And those guys or, more skilled fabricators were always somebody who I looked up to just to have like that knowledge and caliber. So, and if anyone were better than me or anything like that, of course I want to be like, you want to get paid more, you want to be up there with them. So kind of just that, just like that shop environment of just, looking up to, somebody who is above you and knows more knowledge of you. And you're just like, dang, damn, I wish I knew that much. Or you just admire people who know a lot. So yeah, it just kind of came in hand with all that.
Awesome. I love it. And I appreciate it. You kind of acknowledge that you spent a couple of years doing the grunt work, and that's the reality, right? Like, I think from the outside, it would be easy for somebody to say like, oh, well, like she had her dad's shop, so of course she got to do all of this stuff. Well, like, no, like he still expected you to do all the grunt work first. And that's how you learn.
I got paid like nothing. He took advantage of that, like family discounted. I think he thought that there was like a family discount employee.
But you stuck with it.
I hardly made anything here until I knew my shit. So, and I had
okay.
like
So there's
like,
pros and cons to it, obviously, right? We've got massive pros and cons to it. We've got you got
certainly, yeah,
exposed to lots of different techniques, and that's really awesome. But you were probably paid less than market value, and you did the grunt work for 2 years. What
yeah,
what made you stay? Was there like a did you fall in love with it immediately? Did it take some
yeah.
time?
No, I fell in love with it immediately. Like, I'll be very honest, family tension very easily kind of just to not want to work for a family company because you grew up with them, this and that. So working for a family, everyone knows it's hard working with a family for a family. So there was like a lot of tension family wise, but the fabrication is just like a breeze. Like I can work 12 hours and I just am so passionate about it that I could just spend so much time in the shop effortlessly. And, that's kind of the whole point of, when you don't feel like you're at work. So it just feels like fun to me. It's so rewarding. Finishing a project was rewarding. I like being precise. I just fell in love with fabricating. It's great. I just get lost in the project and, I just get lost in the shop. I like the shop vibes. I like, barbecues, like, having friends and like, it's just fun. I just love the whole, everything about a shop and just getting like lost in a project and just being passionate about it.
I love it. 10 out of 10 would recommend. You're like all about it. I love it. Um, what kind of welding do you do mostly?
I started out just MIG welding, and
Okay.
then most of it was just steel. And then, like I mentioned, every project we had would be different, pretty much, and it would require me to learn a new material or this and that. So I've done steel, stainless steel, cast aluminum, and then regular aluminum. And so all that was MIG or with a spool gun. And so I'm just dipping my toes in stick and stick and TIG. So I was mostly just MIGing and fabricating and doing this and that for the last 8 years, but shot myself in the foot by not sticking TIG and stick underneath there. But now I'm
Yeah,
jumping into
you can't learn everything all at the
I
same
know.
time.
I tell myself that. Yeah, I know. So that's the next thing I'm on to is so I'm
Okay,
certified. I'm certified in MIG welding, so that's great. And
awesome.
then stick and TIG. I'm learning right now.
Okay, very cool. So of all of the different things that you do, because fabrication obviously can like mean lots of different things,
Mhm.
and you're doing composites, you're doing 3D additive manufacturing, you're doing welding, you're doing all of the different parts and pieces of this glass you said I think as well. What has been your favorite to learn and what's your favorite to do?
Hmm. I think welding. I really love
Yeah.
welding. It's very fun. Yeah, it's just so fun. Yeah, it's very fun and rewarding, and it's been yeah, I just like welding. It was hard self teaching yourself and not having somebody to put you in the right position. And like I mentioned, I didn't have the chance to like do any research before the day. Like I just got thrown into it, and it was just like, all right. So, but
Here, hold this torch.
yeah, it was exactly that. But I had a really great time learning welding, and I think it's been really great to see myself get better because I used to be terrible, and then now I can actually lay like a decent dime, and like being self taught and certified, it was like really rewarding to me, and I just thought it was just great. Yeah, I really enjoyed welding. I think it's just a fun process. It takes your days away just like that, and then just the whole process I really enjoy.
Awesome. I love it.
What's your
Okay.
favorite
Tell
in the
me
shop?
what's that?
What's your favorite in the shop?
Yes, all of it.
Yeah,
I
you're only
I
automotive, or do you dabble in architectural?
I've never done any architectural. I would love to, because I'm much like you. Like I wanna soak up all of the things. I want to learn
You just
from
apply it,
everybody.
to any
Yeah,
industry.
yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, I've always stayed mostly in the automotive world, but yeah, I love being able to do a little bit of all of the things. So, kind of similar to you, and I think what's so cool about our trade and with welding and cars and like that there's so many facets to it that there isn't just like you don't have to get stuck in just the one thing. Like I was strictly a technician for many, 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 many years, and that was great. And there was always a new challenge because they change technology and they change, cars are changing so fast. But I love now being able to do kind of a little bit of all of the things because I never get bored. There's always something to do.
Yeah.
There's always something new to learn, and Yeah, and it keeps it varied, right?
Yeah. Awesome. Yes, of course. I know. I'm so upset I'm not local because I wanted to be a part of the charity builds you guys have going on. I think those are
You
awesome.
can come out. You're not that far away, Miss Thing.
I know. I know. I'm only 8 hours drive.
Yeah.
Nine.
It's a short flight. We have people come from as far as Alaska. We've had people come from Canada.
Wow.
We have people come from all over the United States. So you're like
Okay.
one state away.
Okay. I'm gonna get my shit together and I'll make that happen. What's the scheduling with it? Like car by car or?
Yeah, so our current all-female build is a little bit different than the past one. If you've been following along, and for anybody who's listening who isn't familiar, the past all-female builds have all been like show cars. This one is actually right up your alley, Nikita, because this is a car that we got out of the salvage yard. And so we are not making a show car out of it. We're not doing anything fun and fancy with it. Well, we're doing something very fun, but it's not fancy. We're restoring it so that it can have a life of service. So it's getting donated to a local nonprofit that serves homeless pregnant women. So this one's kind of different than all of our past ones.
Cool.
So like it's really cool. They're going to be using it to help serve the women that they serve and help them get to their job interviews and their appointments and all of the things that they need to do to help them get back on their feet. So it's a really cool build. This one's going to be going on until February of next year because we're going to deliver it for Women's History Month.
So
great. So
awesome.
You have until February.
Okay. Are you guys in Bondo stage? Are you guys right? Bondo.
We're doing a bunch of stuff. We've got a bunch of mechanical stuff going on. Plus we're doing a full paint job. So it is both body and mechanical.
Very cool.
So, yeah.
Awesome.
You do everything.
Have you done composites?
I have done like this much composite. Composite is probably the thing that I have the least experience with. But I've dabbled a little bit and it is fun. I'd like to learn more.
I would love to teach you more if I go down there. I'd love to teach you all.
I'll
show you. Yeah, I will.
Come on out.
I absolutely will. It's happening. Scheduling.
Awesome. Good. All right. We're gonna connect after this and we're gonna make this happen. You see how this happened, guys, in real time, the peer pressure that I do to get her to come.
Let's just come from Canada and Alaska. I'm like, okay, I gotta get my shit together. Okay, I think I can make it happen if they came from Canada.
Yeah, all right. So talk to me about this this recent project that you finished. I think if folks saw the advertisement on Instagram for this, it was in one of the pictures that I posted. It's on her social media page when you go check her out, but it's this spirally looking thing. Talk to me about this project because it's massive.
It's better than mine. Spirally massive thing. It is a 100-foot structure and it has artistic composition. So it's 5 levels composed of all unique. It's a unique cone shape, and so it is. It's going down to cone, and then the top of it is elevated, and like it's all very unique. There's 5 levels. Each level is unique, and then it's built out of stainless steel as a structure, like all the truss structure is stainless steel, and then the mesh on the outside is expanded metal. So that was a big project. That was 100 feet tall. And so that was the tallest project I've ever built. And I had the opportunity to lead fabricate. I welded and then project managed and then installed that project. So I had a lot of big responsibility in that project. And that was a crazy 6 months. There was originally a deadline on it. So we were busting our ass. We built that in 6 months in the shop, which like a 100-foot structure in 6 months.
Now, is that from first starting the work, or is that from conceptualization all the way through?
That's from like approved fabrication drawings to finished fabrication package ready to ship out. So engineering in the preliminary drawings and the conceptual drawings was about 4 months. And then our fabrication start date to finish was 6 months, which is like, I don't know, that's like no amount of time. We were busting our ass. I was here like working 15-hour days every day. It was on my wits' ends, but I was super precise and just made sure everything was perfect. And so I started, I led fabricated that. So I was in charge of setting up everything, the truss setups, measurements, the like the in shop, like I'm blanking right now, but everything that it takes to build that, I was in charge of. And so I was here every day setting up everything. I had to QC everything. I had to manage everything. I had to manage the people. We had a couple people under my wing that I was managing, but I was the final eyes and the final sight on everything. So it was a lot of set up metal, like custom metal fabrication, and we had it was a lot of 1x1 angle bars, and we had to cut and custom fabricate all those. We had to build 30 segments that were, 25 feet long and, 6 feet wide. And then we had to skin all those with the expanded metal. And those expanded metals, they were flat sheets of just expanded metal. And then we custom bent them and formed them in shop with C-Tech. So that was a defeat in itself, because it's a 20-foot panel and custom formed into a cone shape, so with expanded metal. So that was difficult. And then to have all that.
How do you do that?
It's a secret. It's a trade secret. It's a trade secret. If you come to, I'll tell you when I go there. How about that?
All right.
I'll tell you when I come.
Deal.
And so I was in charge of setting up all of that. Once the metal framing was all built, it was a tremendous amount of fabrication setup, custom metal fabrication, and then we built half of a level in the shop at once. So it was like 30 segments and 10 times setting up these huge levels that would take up the whole shop. So, and then skinning that was a defeat in its own. They were riveted, drilled, and I had to precisely account for the stretch and this and that would be on site, because it's not like a perfect puzzle piece going in. Everything is always, changing on site, and there's so many variations that you have to account for. So it was over compensating everything to anticipate that on site situational stuff that happens. And so I went with, handling and managing that all day, building the whole thing in 6 months, and then preparing for the installation that happened this year. So I was in Florida, which is out in California, so that's very far from me. So I was halfway across the country for me, or I was on the other side of the country for me, and we stayed there with my pup, and then we installed for 2 months. So it was there every day, just busting the butt. Like I mentioned, think of a pie, like a pizza. You have all the slices. That's how they were composed. So for the easiest thing. So think of so one piece of pie, one piece of pizza was one segment. So there's 30 pieces to put together and make a perfect, conular, beautiful, masterpiece looking thing. And the expanded metal was a very, very, finicky and difficult material. So it wasn't something where you could just, drill and bolt in this. It took craftsmanship and a lot of effort to get to look good. But sure. I'm in the midst of sharing it right now. And so I finished that. It's finished, it's installed, everyone's happy. So that was a billboard, an electronic billboard. So, and then the tower.
Is that what it is?
Yeah. So the sign part is an electronic billboard for the museum. It's an art museum.
Okay.
And the client wanted the structure to be artistic. So they put that massive, crazy, cladding that I built on it. So
interesting.
So the billboard is our part.
Let me ask you about that. So you at your dad's companies, it's what is it? CTE? Okay. So at CTE, is it all artistic, massive structures like this, or?
Yeah, he only spends his time on big stuff nowadays. He's a really skilled.
And all artistic stuff though, not architectural.
Yeah, it's only I say architectural because they get so big and so architectural. They get built like a truss structure, like a whole 100-foot structure, and then the artistic composition came onto it. Absolutely. So the artist art fabrication, you might think of smaller sculptures, but we only do C-Tech only does large scale stuff. But then myself, fabrication, I can do the smaller stuff, and I would like to focus on more smaller stuff that I think I could build up to 20 or 30 feet myself easily. But yeah.
Very cool. So are you planning on I have so many questions, all of the questions. I want to talk about your business and what you're doing with that a little bit more, but I have a question about, because I think it's interesting because there's this overlap between art and architectural, structural stuff and fabrication and trades that a lot of people kind of tend not to think about, right? We see these massive public art structures, or we see architectural elements that are like really unique and artistic, and kind of realizing that there's that overlap between art and welding and the trades that people kind of, I think, overlook quite a bit. So I'm curious, like, is it like art first and foremost? Is it trade first and foremost? Is it both? What
That's
is
a
it to
hard
you?
question.
I know.
No, I can't answer that. I love them. They go hand in. They go hand in. I'm gonna plug in just one moment. I'm gonna plug this in something. But
Yeah, absolutely.
they both are my favorite things in the world. So that's really hard because I've combined them to build art sculptures. So I'm satisfied. But
Yeah.
I love. I don't. They both are. They're hand in hand for me. They're just. Fabrication is art to me. You know what I mean? Like, it is very much so art. So I would definitely say that they're hand in hand. Like, because if you care about what you're doing and building a car, working on mechanic, it's a work of art. It's like, the whole process of doing anything proper is like a form of art to me. Like, I just have passion and admire for working with people who work with their hands and working with my hands. So I just have to say that I think they're hand in hand. I can't choose. They're like, I would say the trades is like a medium. But I agree with you. Artists, they miss that kind of that trades that, you can get into the trades. If you're artistic in high school, you gotta look into the trades. Like, even if you like drawing, or even if you only like paper or sketching and stuff like that, you just have got to look into the trades, because that's how I started. And that creativity will go through your hands, and you'll end up working 8 hours in a shop building something. And then at once, you had a little drawing on a paper, and now you have like a huge, sign or art piece behind you. So yeah. It's, your hands can do amazing things. And artists, I think all of them need to at least just dabble in the trades, any trade. But I think I agree with you on that a lot of people, they miss that. The artists, they separate them, but it's very much so one together. Like, I agree with that completely.
Yeah, I think it's just people don't think about it necessarily. Like, oh, like those are tradespeople that have artistic skill and have combined them in a way, and that there is artistry to the trades, and it is a craft. And but I think
artists could be happy in the trades.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, we tend to put things into boxes, right? Like, in our society, we like to put like you're a tradesperson, you're an artist, you're a whatever it is. Yeah. And I think we don't necessarily always realize how many different ways that you can be a welder, how many different ways you can be a fabricator. And you're in kind of a really interesting niche, because it's not just, it's massive. So it has to be like well designed, it has to be engineered, but it's got that artistic flair to it. I'm curious how these things kind of come to be. Is it like the person commissioning it has like a real clear idea, or were you given a lot of artistic leeway in coming up with this design? Like, how does that process go?
Sure thing. Like I mentioned, each project is different, so it's really unique, and each artist comes to us at a different stage. Every single one is different. So some people come to us with just an idea. Some people come to us with a drawing. Some people come to us with a rendering already made, or some people come to us with the idea and they ask us how can we engineer and fabricate this. So each one is different. Each artist is different. Each project is different. And so, for example, the 100-foot sculpture, that was, there was one rendering and that was it. And they knew that they had the billboard commission, and then they knew that they wanted the structure to be artistic. So they had a couple ideas, and they wanted us to think and tell them how we could fabricate it within the price range and this and that. So that's typically how it comes down to is the price range, and then kind of just the reality of the size, the budget, and the time frame is a huge thing as well. And then the budget is a huge thing as well, because materials can get very fancy and then they cannot. So that's typically how it comes into play. But I've had an artist come in with just a drawing, and then she came in and saw it in person, and she was just amazed. She's like, "Oh my God, that's my drawing!" Like, it was this beautiful art bronze sculpture. So, seeing stuff like that is really inspiring because, you always want to make the artistic vision come true. So I lean on that heavily when I fabricate. And so a lot of time you run out of time in the shop a lot of times and, there's not a budget or your boss is breathing down your neck that needs to be done yesterday. So I always struggle with that because I always want to put forth my best effort, and I'll always either work myself to the ground like for free to get it done like perfectly, or like I'll just always make sure that it's my best effort, and the artist is always like so happy and they always see their complete vision and this and that. So artists always come with us with different ideas and this and that. So they came to us with just the idea and kind of a budget and this and that, and we told them, we ran down the list for like a month with them of materials, budget, if this engineering, if this could bend this way, if that material could bend that way. No, that material can't bend that way. So it's sometimes is a month of just going back and forth with the artist and telling him like, what we can build and how we can build it. And sometimes that requires tweaking the design even and working with the artist on stuff. And then sometimes clients have the budget to just fully develop an artist's design, which can be a really amazing thing with the right budget. But each project has been different, but it's all a learning process. My father, the founder of this company, he's the engineer. So big kudos to him. He's the ringleader. So he's done a really amazing job building those art sculptures, and then I've just tried to follow up with doing an amazing job in the shop. So the last 8 years, he's been able to lean on me for lead fabricating, managing the teams, and then welding, and then project managing. So going all the way to like the drawings and picking up the material and the water jet file, and so it goes all the way down the line. So him and I
became his right hand.
Yeah. So awesome. He had all the experience with 30 years, and he's able to just kind of lean on me to kind of just fill out the project. So so he engineers it though. He's
okay. Awesome.
A lot of artists work with him on what's feasible and stuff.
So now, are you planning to continue working at CTech and build your business at the same time? So you're going to be doing both. Okay.
Yeah, it's been, I don't want to, like if we get a big architectural project, I'm going to go ahead and like be seasonal here, but I'm not full time anymore. So I used to come in every day, for the last 8 years, but now I'm not full time anymore. I'm going to be only seasonal.
Awesome. So tell me, what precipitated the decision to go out on your own? Like what was like the impetus behind that? You spent 8 years gathering skills. You started out doing the grunt work. You build your skill set. You're building all of these different types of skill sets. What told you like, okay, now this is the time? I think people tend to like, that's a big question. Like, when is it time to go out on my own? How did you know it was time for you?
Life makes you uncomfortable sometimes, like to the point where you can't handle what you're doing or the situation you're in. And so I'm a firm believer in that life just really ends up pushing you to just take that further step. And so I have just a lot of the 8 years I've witnessed a lot of leaders and a lot of boss, just personnel, I should say, managing skills, managing methods. And it's just time for me to be my own boss and my own manager. And so I was very independent here, and very much so very independently working and this and that. But I don't know. It was just time. It was just time. It was 8 years of working under Eric's management, or my father's. So you get, you want to do things your own way. So, and how he has CTech right now is like a very specific niche, and he's very specific on how he wants to run CTech. And so I haven't really had the opportunity to almost see that larger future for myself at CTech. Like, I think it'll always be around for his income, but I think he's running it. I don't think he's running it to be generational right now. It's very like, I don't know. It just didn't seem like something that would be that he's trying to grow like huge for like, it's just very small. It's very like, so anyways, so it was just kind of time. Like, he was his business. He had his run. He did all the big stuff. He's very much so like on his time to chill out, like type of vibe. And so I've been getting in the shop and running the projects the last couple of years. And so I don't necessarily agree with how he ran some of the projects. So I was just like, it's, it put a lot of stress and tension on me. So I would just like to be my own boss in that fact. And that's kind of what pushed me out, was just kind of like,
Okay.
like just kind of being uncomfortable with how somebody else ran projects and really wanting to be the one to run them.
Okay. Well, and you bring up a really interesting,
I felt confident enough with all this years and being able to build these projects the last couple of years. It gave me the confidence, and the shop gave me the confidence, and managing the people and and this and that and all. It was time, 8 years. At a certain point, you got to trust yourself and what you built with, and if they can do it, you can do it. So I'm doing it.
All right. Cheers to that. So you bring up some interesting points, though. So I mean, I think you've been very open and honest about, the challenges, the pros and cons of working for family, right? Working with family. And clearly your father has built up an amazing company, and he created some incredible opportunities for you. You definitely put in the work to make it happen within that opportunity. But, working with family is hard, right? It always is. It is probably one of the hardest things to do, is to mix family and business. And you're doing it again. You started a company with your boyfriend. So talk to me.
He's a sweetheart. He's the nicest person I've ever met. So I don't have any worry.
So how are you guys handling, because I think the biggest challenge that that couples who go into business together, or families that go into business together, is like, how do we separate between work and personal, and how do we create boundaries so that we don't step on each other's toes, and that, like, there's like your area of decision making and my area of decision making. Like, how do we navigate all of those challenges? So you've now worked in a family business, or with family, for 8 years. You've seen the good, the bad, the ugly. What have been, without like throwing dad under the bus or whatever, but like, what have been your biggest takeaways of things that you want to make sure that you implement, not necessarily like specific, like rules or whatever, although you can go there if you want, but like how to maintain the relationship between you and your partner as you go into this business?
I think, well, it's just something that's been so amazing for me to kind of go through, is finding such like an amazing partner, because it's been very fun. So he's a fabricator, a welder, a mechanic, and automotive enthusiast himself, and kind of just a fabrication enthusiast himself. So him and I have really, really gotten along and been able to connect through the shop and through our careers and stuff. And so that's exactly how we started 3D Print Solutions, which is the 3D company. So it's been, I don't know, we're just such a team player. I've never had such a team player in my life. Like, I've never had somebody who's wanted to grow something with me so much. So I think it's just been such a treat to go through with him, and he's made it very easy. So it's very different, because Eric, there's been a lot of drama and family tension from the past, unfortunately, like with parents. And so I don't have like, it's coming from a different like point from family wise, because he's like a sweetheart, team player, like, wants to build us and our future like so much together, and it just means the world. And then like, Eric is like kind of just like that parent trauma, or like I mean, like that parent drama as a kid that you kind of go through, you know what I mean? So,
well, yeah, the parent-child relationship is
like, it's all, like this and that. But what I'm trying to say is that since we have this in common, it's been very fun and easy. And right now we both have like different roles in the 3D company. So it's very easy to just kind of like, you do your thing part and I do my part. Like, I'm like the design, marketing, kind of like this and that, administrator, like artistic person. And he is like the more logistic, like he does the CAD design, like he does like the actual work. And then I do like kind of the background work of that company. But all things, we just always honest with each other. Like, and I think that's just what's important. But I just think that strong relationship connection is like first and foremost. So if you don't have that strong relationship connection, then yeah, I would see some like tension in the shop building. But we're always honest, even if we're like annoyed or like, why haven't you done that, or like this or that. We're just honest, and he's just very easy. He makes everything so easy for me. So I don't know. I think just having a really great relationship and a strong connection with your person makes it very easy because you guys are both team players and on the same team, and then you guys can get frustrated, but just be frustrated at the same thing together, like not at each other. So it's kind of just team player, just teamwork, We're always like dream team or like just stuff like that. So he makes it easy, but working with family, parents, it's hard. I wouldn't recommend it. But working with a spouse, but we'll see because we're growing and we want to expand the fabrication company together. So, when we get more money and this and that, another company is going to pop up with fabrication together because we both have so many skills and talents that we just want to be each other's bosses and just build and, make an income like together. So, yeah, I would say just have that strong connection with your partner and it'll make the shop like life. Just honesty and just having that strong connection should it's like working with my friend, you know what I mean? So I would say
I love what you said specifically too about like when you're frustrated with a thing, like, okay, let's be frustrated at this thing together, not at each other. And that's just like that. It's easier said than done sometimes, right? And I think it's easier with regular colleagues or with partners than it is with, parent child, just because the nature of parent child relationships, they always have all of that stuff. But like, but to remember, I mean, for anybody, like it's the thing we're frustrated with, not each other. So like keeping that in focus, I think is huge.
Let's just get through this project together and stuff. But I have learned that him and I are very different in the shop and kind of like schedule and like kind of, just we're very different. We've learned that. We're all learning that, but it's just accepting that other person, like I'm not gonna change him. I'm just gonna, you have to accept that person for how they are, and you just love them and you work with them, and they, you guys just compromise and this and that. Like I know he's not artistic or gonna go forth to make that special customer connection just because like that's just not him. But I do, so I will always put forth that effort, and that's where the teamwork comes together, and then the company and the business comes in together. Great. So it's just like leaning on each other for each other's strengths and knowing like, you're not going to change person. Like if the person's not that way, like, you can expect them to not be that way. So don't get upset about it. Just accept them for how it is. And obviously if it's something that's really upsetting anybody, then just talk about it. But both of us are really just open and just like calm people. So it's been going great. It's been going great. I have noticed and learned that there's certainly difference in fabrication and, what's the word, deadline, like I want to like do things like that, like now I'm like today it's now done, and he kind of he'll take like that lead time that was given, but like I'll like get it done that night. You know what I mean? So yeah, it's just but I'm okay, like it's how it is, and I've learned to just like take my hands off the wheel, and I love to control projects and be like control everything about them, but I've totally just like with that company, it's us and he, we're co-founders together. So just teamwork is the dream work. Teamwork.
Right.
Indeed. Do you work with your spouse or anyone?
No, I am, I have no spouse.
Okay. Oh, so, everyone hear that? Everyone hear that? Family.
What's that?
Family. Do you have any siblings?
I had an older sibling. She passed many, many, many years ago. So it is just me and my mom and dad. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
What does your mom do for work then?
My parents are both retired. I'm old. So my parents are old. I could be your mom.
Well, what did they do for work?
So you really are turning the tables. Okay. My father was a researcher and kind of statistician for the Screen Actors Guild. And my mom was a developmental psychologist and worked with like mentorship programs and childhood development stuff. So yeah.
Very nice. Yeah. I mean, you're so all about like empowering women. I just was curious. I'm sure that like some that came from your mom being in that was her training.
Yeah. Both my parents are super like hippie dippies, and I love that about them. And ever since I was a little kid, they always kind of raised me to believe that a couple of things, but one is if you see something that you think is unjust, don't just sit there with it. Like do something about it. Stand up stand up to it, say something about it, do something to try to change it. And they also raised me to believe that he who is given much, much is expected. And I feel really, really fortunate and really privileged to have been given the kind of platform that I have been given through All Girls Garage and the TV show and all of that stuff. And I feel like it's my responsibility to turn that into something positive for other people, and to hopefully shine a light and show that there's not just those of us on TV, that there are thousands of us out here kicking butt every day.
Yeah, it's a lot of
as
work what you're
trans women.
doing. Yeah, just running the podcast and everything. So I really appreciate you having me. And just
Absolutely.
for the
It's been
gal and everything like that, you know. All the good old typical, oh, I don't know, I've never seen a welder, or I've never
right.
seen a apprenticeship. What? Well, I know.
Yeah.
50. So it's really great. You know, just the exposure is so great, because when you see or know somebody, it becomes very, the idea and the whole thing comes very, you know, the normal comes normal.
Yeah.
You know, yeah. So thank you for all your hard work, and you know.
Absolutely. Thank you. I appreciate that. And thank you for what you're doing, because, you know, each of us makes that difference, right? Like every day we each feel like we're an only, because in our little bubble we might be, right? We might not encounter any other women. And those people who are saying to us, oh, I've never met a female fabricator or a female mechanic or whatever, like they're right. They probably haven't, right? Because there's so few of us as a percentage.
Yeah.
And so to be able to say like, but look how many there are,
Yeah.
And to shine a light on all
Yeah.
of you, I think is
Be like, really, there's
really
so
awesome.
many. Yeah. Yeah. It is a great thing
So,
to be able to do.
thank you for being a guest. All right, we don't have a ton of time left, so I've got more questions for you. So we got to focus on you here.
Yeah,
We can talk more offline. So tell me about your fabrication business. You're doing smaller scale stuff, not these 100-foot sculptures and whatnot. Smaller scale things. Do you have a particular type of fabrication that you are kind of most wanting, like as far as types of customers? Are we talking furniture? Are we talking structural stuff? Are we talking like pure art sculptures? Like, what are we talking?
I would love metal work right now, specifically because I have so much like access to it.
Okay.
But I would right now, to pay the bills, I will take on like any kind of architectural or artistical project to kind of just start that brand and the shop and this and that. But I would like to eventually be only focused on, you know, creative work, like just something that requires some sort of creative design, whether that's a custom furniture that you know, it's a little bit more like artistic or something, or if it's a sculpture. But in the end, my dream would to be building art sculptures again, but just not those huge ass buildings,
not 100-foot tall sculptures.
Just a lot of stress. So my dream is to be building art sculptures again that are like, you know, I would love to do large art sculptures, you know, if I get a huge shop in the future. But right now I've just been doing a lot of like, you know, the what CTEC has been doing, but I would love to focus like strictly on art sculptures. And then I'm a huge, super big auto enthusiast. So I have a big passion for custom Bondo work and like custom bodies. So I would also love to be just diving into custom body work and stuff like that. So, but Nikita Fabrication is, like I mentioned, I have so much under my belt that it's so hard to focus on one, but it's pretty much architectural, automotive, and art fabrication, custom fabrication, and then artistic fabrication. So everything that falls under that realm,
which is like everything.
Yeah. Right now, to pay the bills and start the shop, I'll take on some, you know, nitty gritty little jobs for sure, just metal jobs. But right now, I don't have very many carpentry tools, so I would love to stray from a lot of woodwork. But metal work, I have a lot of access to, and you know, a welder and stuff like that. So.
Awesome. Awesome. I love it. I'm gonna be fascinated to see how this continues to develop. You know, you've got this really broad umbrella of things, and you know, as you figure out where your niche is, I think it's gonna be really interesting to watch as that develops, because you do so many different things and you can do so many different things, but that can sometimes be like a little overwhelming, right? Because it's like, oh, it's everything. I can be and do everything. So I'm going to be, it'll be fun to watch as your business develops and as you find your niche.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm just going to try to keep the motivation and, you know, just keep on pushing forward.
Absolutely. That's all we can do. Okay, so I've got to ask you, we are a moment or two over our hour. So I've got to ask, first of all, if I can go a minute or two longer to ask you my final
Oh,
question.
of course, of
Okay.
course.
All right. So my final question, my dear, is if you had the opportunity to go back and talk to little baby you, little
Oh,
baby Nikita, what are your words of advice to her?
that's so sweet. Um, I would just say, don't overthink it. Just go do it. Yeah, I would just find myself overthinking things a lot when, it's just when you're in the moment. I'm always not nervous, but I find myself getting nervous before the moment, or pre-anticipating things. So I would just tell her, don't overthink it. Just go do it.
Awesome.
Little Nikita.
I love it. I mean, it is. Overthinking is definitely like, I think a lot of
You
us
never think it's the
suffer
right
from that.
time. You don't think this business could be successful. You don't think, just
Yeah.
don't overthink it. Just do it.
Yeah. The only way you're going to find out is by just diving in and doing it.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right. Very cool. Well, thank you so very much for saying yes to this and agreeing to share your story, and just being a part of the series and doing everything that you're doing. Keep kicking butt. Folks at home, go follow her. Go check her out in the links below. Check her out, her business. Check out her work. And if you're in her area and you need work done, definitely hit her up. But definitely make sure you give her a follow to keep up with what her how her career continues to develop through the years. So with that, I thank you guys all so much for hanging out with us this evening and spending part of your week with us. Make sure you come back next Monday for an archive episode, and of course every Wednesday for a new episode live right here on YouTube. And of course, you can always listen anytime, anywhere you get your podcasts. And there's like 200 some odd episodes that you can go back and listen to if you're ever needing a dose of inspiration or wondering, hey, I wonder if there are any female ... There's women in all of the different trades, and at least pretty much all of them have been represented and have been interviewed here on the With Her Two Hands podcast. So make sure you go check them out and meet some of these incredible women. And until next week, be good to yourselves, be good to one another, and be good human beings. We'll see you next time. Bye, guys.